All right, we are out here in some beautiful, brisk, snowy weather this morning, and we're going to be putting these trees into the ground. It's a little bit of snow on the ground, but that's not a problem. Actually, a good time of year to be planting these fruit trees, and these can tolerate down to -10, -20 for some of them, and so they're totally fine. And now that they're dormant, it's a great time to be planting. So we'll be using a modified Ellen White method to plant these trees, and so we grabbing the backhoe to work on the ground. It's a little bit muddy clay, and so that backhoe helps a lot. So stay tuned and check out how we go about this process. We dig a nice big hole, about 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot, and we'll be backfilling with some pretty good amended soil, doing kind of a pipe down here. So got this spool of pipe over here. We're putting that in the bottom of the hole in order to provide some aeration and some space for the water to go, so that it doesn't saturate the soil. Anyway, so we'll be doing that today, so stay tuned and check it out as we jump on the backhoe, dig some holes, and get these things planted.
So now, before we get into planting the trees, let me explain the Ellen White method to you just a little bit more. So what you see on the screen here is just a quick representation of the Ellen White method, and I'll walk you through step by step how we go about doing this. So like I mentioned, we can dig a hole a couple of different ways. We can either do the traditional Ellen White method, which is a 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot hole that we're going to plant the tree in, or we can do this modified Ellen White method that I've been doing with the backhoe. That goes about 2 foot by 4 foot wide and then 3 foot deep. And so I've just found that this the second one is a little bit more convenient with backhoe. I assume it's going to produce about the same results, maybe slightly different, but trying it out. So again, not maybe the traditional Ellen White method, but something that's going to be close enough to give me the desired results. And so once you've got your hole dug, you're going to want to start filling that hole in. And we're going to use a special mix of different soils and amendments to produce the best results here. So at the bottom of the hole, I like to put about 3/4 of a cup, maybe to a cup of dolomite lime. And that's just going to help with the soil to bring better drainage to the soil and help break up some of that heavy clay soil. And on top of that, we start to backfill with about 1 foot of mix of compost and soil. So about 50-50 between compost and soil. You can read all about the Ellen White method, and there's lots of different mixes. You can use leaf molds, you can use cow manure, you can use kind of a more traditional compost. So really up to you exactly what you want to use here, but you definitely want something that's nutrient rich to be mixing in with the topsoil. So you don't want just dirt down there. You want something with lots of nutrients. And then in there, we want to put an air pocket. And so in my case, I use a 4-inch corrugated drain pipe just because that's easy to get at your local Home Depot or Tractor Supply, and it's easy to work with, and you put it in the hole. But you can use other things maybe. I've seen pots or coffee cans used here as well. But the drain pipe just seems like something that's going to last a long time and provide that value that you're looking for. And on top of that, now you get back to a layer of topsoil, but with some amendments in here. And so I like to put a little bit of rock phosphate before I start to put the second layer, and I like to put some rock phosphate in just at the top of that lower layer, and then I mix some, a little bit more topsoil on, and I put another layer of rock phosphate, and then a little bit more topsoil, and then put another 3/4 cup of dolomite lime. So this is a way of kind of amending the soil. You want to kind of rake it in just a little bit as you do each of those layers so that you don't just have a solid layer there. But it's a lot easier than trying to mix up all of that dirt beforehand. So each of these layers being a foot, if you've got a 3 foot by 3 foot hole, that's 9 cubic feet of dirt per layer, and mixing that is really a lot of work. And so by just having these like thin layers where you can just rake it in, makes it a lot more convenient. And again, the 50-50 compost and soil mix is already pretty well mixed together. You could certainly mix some azomite in there if you wanted to as you're mixing that together, but this just is a nice convenient way of putting those layers in. And then finally, we do another layer of the 50-50 compost and soil mix, again amended with some azomite along the way, to just again give that rock structure in the soil that's going to help with nutrient development and root development. And then finally, we drop our tree in. I like to mound the tree up just a little bit. A lot of this stuff will settle over time, even if you are kind of packing it down as you're going. It's going to settle over time. So I like to mound the tree up just a little bit, maybe 4 or 5 inches above the soil level. So as it settles, it settles about level, but also so that we get better drainage and water runoff, right? So we want the water to be running down. So in general, I always plant my trees higher than needed, just because it's better to have it higher. You can always add more soil. It's a lot harder to lift a tree up once you've already got it planted. And then final step is to add wood chips all around the base of the tree. In general, you want to make sure that the wood chips are not touching the trunk of the tree. They can really start to choke out the tree. So I like to keep them just right up to the edge, but not touching the tree. And I usually go really as thick as I can get them, right? Anywhere from 4 inches to 6 inches of wood chips all the way around the base of the tree. But do your best as much wood chips as you can. And there's lots of places you can get free wood chips, so look online. Chip Drops has been a great resource for me, but lots of places to get wood chips, and you don't have to buy them from the big box stores. And then finally, you want to water it in real good and make sure you're trying to saturate, really all the way down to level 3 if you can. The first time you water it, to start to get some of those air pockets out of there and get that soil starting to incorporate. Especially as you first get the tree in, water it many times over the first couple of weeks. And so that's kind of the basics of the Ellen White method. A couple of things that are there in the Ellen White method that I don't do most of the time, but can be done and would probably improve your results, is adding a layer of rocks just past that first layer. You can add a layer of rocks, and these can just be kind of like road fill kind of base rocks. And they really help with some of the electric currents that run through the soil. And so you can add that layer in there as well. Again, probably not necessary. Certainly doing what we're doing here with a 3x3 hole is way better than just planting it into the heavy clay. But every little bit you do is going to help. And it's just a matter of acquiring the resources and spending the time to do all these steps. So if you're doing a lot of trees, maybe you don't need to go through all these steps. But if you're doing a couple of trees, it may be worthwhile to do those couple of extra steps. And then the other one is placing a large rock under the base of the tree. And while this may seem contrary to belief, this is what the Ellen White method does suggest. So this is something I haven't tried yet. Something I might try in the future, but it's also give a good anchor for the tree and probably provide some other benefits as well. But that's something I haven't been doing. Be curious on your feedback below. So anyway, so that's the basics of the Ellen White method. And you'll see how we do that here, and we'll get these trees planted in these holes and show you the finished product.
This is a more traditional Ellen White method here, where it's about a 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot, and then in the bottom of the hole here we've got a perforated drain pipe, and so that's going to allow air to get into the system and for excess water to seep out of the clay into that space so that it doesn't saturate the roots. So that's a pretty traditional Ellen White method. And then we're going to come in and we're going to layer it in the 3 different layers of the Ellen White method. This other one is more of a modified version of the Ellen White method, where you can see I've just got a long trench, and I've got that black pipe there in the trench. And so this approach is a little easier to do with the trencher backhoe there, and so we're trying that out. Also think that it'll just spread the surface out a little bit more, and so I think that might be a pretty attractive approach there. So I'm gonna give them both a try. We're gonna plant very similar peach trees in both holes, and then we'll monitor them over the next couple of years and see which approach works better. Regardless, this approach should work better than just planting it in the ground with no amendments or anything like that. So anyway, hope you're enjoying what we're putting out so far, and I'm gonna get these couple of trees in the hole. We'll give you some updates along the way. Thanks. All right, we managed to get 4 of the 7 trees in, but I am just totally spent. Digging those big holes, even with equipment, takes a lot out of you, and then filling them back in with half frozen dirt is challenging. But so yeah, we got 4 trees in. Again, Ellen White method here with the drainage pipe in the bottom. I also add some azomite as well as some pelletized lime to help with the soil here, because we have really heavy clay soil here, and so I just put a little bit of that in, maybe a half a cup every other foot or so, just trying to get it so that the soil can be a bit better draining and help the roots of the plant. So anyway, if you like what I've been doing, hit the like and subscribe button, and keep bringing you updates as the ranch and garden progress. Thanks, stay tuned.